Captain Maya Rodriguez sat alone in her F-550 Thunderbolt fighter, watching the stars. Once Earth's best pilot, she was now stuck on boring patrol duty at the edge of human space. The other alien races in the galactic Concord still didn't trust humans much. They thought humans were too wild, too unpredictable. Maya checked her systems again and sighed. Another quiet day. Then her alert system beeped loudly. Maya's eyes snapped to her radar screen. A large ship was under attack. "Computer, identify that vessel," Maya ordered. "Vrokath diplomatic ship," the computer replied. "Under heavy attack by unknown forces." Maya's heart raced. The Vrokath were one of the oldest alien species in the galaxy. They looked like giant octopuses with shiny blue-green skin. They were peaceful, smart, and very careful. They especially didn't trust humans. Through her view screen, Maya saw bright flashes as the Vrokath ship took heavy damage. The attackers used strange cloaking technology that confused the Vrokath defenses. "This is Captain Rodriguez to Vrokath vessel. Do you need assistance?" Maya called. No answer. Their communication systems must be damaged. Maya's orders were clear: never interfere in alien conflicts without permission. Breaking this rule could get her in serious trouble. Humans were still new to the galactic community. One wrong move could damage trust for all humans. But as Maya watched, she saw small escape pods launching from the Vrokath ship. The attackers immediately fired on these pods, destroying them one by one. Those pods likely held civilians. "Screw the rules," Maya muttered. She pushed her throttle forward, and her fighter shot toward the battle. As she got closer, Maya noticed something strange about the enemy weapons. The design looked familiar. "Computer, analyze enemy weapon signatures," she ordered. "Weapons appear to be modified human technology," the computer replied. Maya's blood ran cold. Someone was using stolen human weapons to attack the Vrokath. If she didn't help, the aliens would blame all humans for this attack. Maya targeted the nearest enemy ship and fired. Her shots hit perfectly, disabling its weapons. The enemy ships turned their attention to her. There were 5 of them against her one small fighter. Maya grinned. These odds didn't scare her. She had faced worse. She rolled her ship in a tight spiral, avoiding enemy fire while moving closer to the damaged Vrokath vessel. Her fighter was smaller and faster than the enemy ships. She could use that advantage. One enemy ship exploded as Maya's missiles found their target. The others spread out, trying to surround her. Through a damaged section of the Vrokath ship, Maya could see strange blue light. There were thousands of Vrokath inside, many of them smaller than usual. Children, maybe. Now she knew what she was fighting for. Maya opened a channel again. "Vrokath vessel, this is Captain Maya Rodriguez of Earth. I'm here to help you. Please respond." After a long pause, a deep voice answered. "Human, why should we trust you? Your weapons are attacking us." Maya dodged another attack before answering. "Not my weapons. I'm here to save you. But first, we need to survive this battle." Maya's fighter spun through space, dodging enemy fire. She was outnumbered 4-1 now, but her smaller ship was faster. The enemy couldn't hit what they couldn't catch. "Vrokath ship, I need to dock with you," Maya called. "Your ship is badly damaged." "We do not want human help," the deep voice answered. "You will trick us." Maya fired at another enemy ship, damaging its weapons system. "Look, I just saved your escape pods. If I wanted to hurt you, why would I do that?" A different Vrokath voice joined the conversation. "This is Chief Engineer Zilon. Our ship is failing. Life support systems are critical. We have 5,000 civilians aboard, including 2,000 children." Maya flew close to the massive alien ship. It was beautiful despite the damage, shaped like a giant blue-green shell with glowing patterns across its surface. "Engineer Zilon, I need to board your ship," Maya said. "I can help fix your systems." After a long pause, Zilon replied, "Docking Bay 4 still functions. We will allow you entry, human. Maya guided her fighter toward the docking bay as two more enemy ships appeared. They fired at her, but she rolled her ship and avoided their shots. She reached the docking bay just as the doors opened. Inside the Vrokath ship, Maya stepped out of her fighter and removed her helmet. She gasped in surprise. The air was thick with moisture, and gravity felt stronger than Earth's. Most shocking of all, the corridors were filled with water. A Vrokath approached in the water-filled hallway. It was enormous, like a giant octopus with 12 tentacles and glowing blue patterns across its body. A special device around its middle produced a bubble of air where a human-like mouth opened. "I am Selmarin, lead diplomat," it said coldly. "Many believe letting you aboard was a mistake." Maya stood tall despite feeling small next to the alien. "Your ship is failing. I'm a trained engineer as well as a pilot. I can help." "How can one small human help when our best engineers cannot?" Selmarin asked. An explosion rocked the ship. Maya steadied herself against a wall. "We don't have time to argue," she said. "Take me to your engine room." Selmarin led Maya through corridors filled with scared Vrokath civilians. The children were smaller, with only 6 tentacles and brighter glowing patterns. They stared at Maya with large, curious eyes. The engine room was chaos. Vrokath engineers worked frantically to stop systems from failing. Strange blue energy leaked from damaged machinery. "Your ship design is amazing," Maya said honestly, "but you're in trouble. Your defense systems are too predictable. The attackers know exactly where to hit you. Our systems follow perfect Vrokath design principles," Engineer Zelan said proudly. "They have worked for 10,000 years." "Well, they're not working now," Maya pointed out. She looked at their defensive screens. "Your ship moves in perfect patterns. That makes you easy to target." Maya took control of a defense station. When the next attack came, she responded with random, unpredictable movements. The enemy missiles missed. The Vrokath stared in shock. "Impossible," Selmarin whispered. "No Vrokath would ever use such chaotic methods." "That's exactly why they're effective," Maya explained. "Sometimes chaos is better than order. That's something we humans understand well." Another explosion hit the ship. The lights flickered. "We must reach Concord Station," Zelan said. "It's our only hope." Maya looked at the star map. "At your current speed, you'll never make it. And there's something else you should know. The enemy ships are using modified human weapons. Someone is trying to make humans look guilty." Selmarin's tentacles curled tightly. "Then prove your innocence, human. Save my people." Maya worked quickly with the Vrokath engineers, helping them fix damaged systems. Her hands were smaller than their large tentacles, which helped her reach tight spaces in the machinery. "Your attackers are Krazer mercenaries," Maya said as she reconnected wires. "They're hired guns. They kill for money. Someone paid them to attack you." Zelan's body flashed with worried blue patterns. "But why? We are peaceful diplomats." "They're targeting your navigation systems and data storage," Maya pointed out. "They want something you're carrying." Selmarin floated closer, all 12 tentacles moving nervously. "Human, there is something you should know." The diplomat hesitated. "Our ship carries the last complete records of Vrokath history and genetic data. Our homeworld suffered a terrible disaster 3 months ago." Maya stopped working. "You mean everything about your species is on this ship?" "Yes. Without these records, our people would lose their past and their future." Selmarin's skin darkened with emotion. "If someone stole this data, they could control the future of our entire species." A young Vrokath rushed into the engine room. 6 more Krazer ships approaching. Maya hurried to the command center with Selmarin. The ship's view screens showed enemy vessels surrounding them. "They're using a hunting formation," Maya said. "We need to fight back differently." "Our pilots are highly trained," Selmarin said proudly. "They follow perfect defensive patterns developed over thousands of years." Maya shook her head. "That's the problem. The Krazer know your patterns. You need to be unpredictable. She asked to speak with the Vrokath fighter pilots. 5 Vrokath entered the command center, their tentacles displaying respectful patterns. Your formations are beautiful, Maya told them, but too predictable. I want to teach you human fighting styles. The lead pilot's skin flashed with offense. Human tactics are messy and disorganized. Exactly, Maya smiled. That's why they'll work. The enemy can't predict what makes no sense. Reluctantly, the Vrokath pilots listened as Maya explained basic human combat maneuvers, feints, surprise attacks, and random movements. When the next attack came, the Vrokath pilots tried Maya's suggestions. It was a disaster. They couldn't break their habits of perfect formation and precise movements. 2 Vrokath fighters were badly damaged. It's not working, the lead pilot called. You're thinking too much, Maya replied. Stop trying to understand the pattern. There is no pattern. Maya took control of the defense systems herself. She moved the remaining Vrokath fighters in ways that made no sense, diving suddenly, changing direction without reason, attacking from unexpected angles. The Krazer ships struggled to respond. One exploded when it couldn't avoid Maya's surprise attack. The Vrokath watched in amazement as their sensors showed the enemy falling back. Impossible, whispered Zalon. How can disorder be more effective than perfect order? Maya smiled. That's humanity's secret weapon. We thrive in chaos. As the Krazer retreated to regroup, Maya studied the star maps. Something wasn't right. They're not really retreating, she realized. They're trying to force us in that direction. She pointed to a cloudy area of space, toward that nebula. Selmarin's tentacles curled with worry. But why? Because, Maya said grimly, I think they have friends waiting for us there. The damaged Vrokath ship limped through space, trying to avoid the nebula trap ahead. Maya worked with the alien engineers, but progress was slow. The main engines are beyond repair, Zalon reported. We cannot reach Concord Station with our backup systems alone. Maya examined the ship's schematics on a glowing blue screen. What about these atmospheric regulators? They push air and water through the ship, right? Of course, said Zalon. They maintain perfect balance in all chambers. Could we redirect them to push the ship instead? Maya asked. The Vrokath engineers stared at her. Their skin flashed with patterns that looked like shock. That would be incorrect, one engineer said. Atmosphere systems are for atmosphere only. Engines are for movement. Maya sighed. Just because something was built for one purpose doesn't mean it can't do something else. That's how humans solve problems. We improvise. Improvise. The word seemed hard for Zalon to say. You mean, use things wrongly? I mean use things differently, Maya explained. Look, your ship is dying. We need to try new ideas. Reluctantly, Zalon allowed Maya to explain her plan. The atmospheric regulators could be reversed and connected to the ship's external vents. With some modifications, they could push the ship forward. This is against all Vrokath engineering principles, Zalon protested. Our ancestors designed each system for its perfect purpose. Your ancestors didn't face this situation, Maya pointed out. Sometimes you need to break the rules to survive. While the engineers argued, Maya explored more of the ship. The Vrokath lived in beautiful water-filled chambers with glowing coral and strange music that traveled through the water. In one large room, Maya found Vrokath children gathered around an elder who was creating patterns of light with its tentacles. The patterns told stories from Vrokath history. These are the knowledge patterns of our people, Selmarin explained, appearing beside Maya. Every Vrokath must learn them perfectly. We do not change them, ever. Maya watched the children copying the elder's movements exactly. On Earth, we encourage children to create their own stories too, she said. Selmarin seemed troubled by this idea. If each person created their own truth, how would you know what is correct? Before Maya could answer, alarms sounded throughout the ship. The Krazer were attacking again. Maya rushed back to the engine room. We don't have time to argue anymore. Let me try my idea. After a moment's hesitation, Zalan agreed. The engineers watched nervously as Maya connected systems that were never meant to work together. She redirected power from non-essential areas and reversed the flow of the massive atmospheric pumps. Ready? Maya asked. Everyone moved back as she activated the makeshift propulsion system. The ship shuddered violently. Strange noises echoed through the corridors. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the massive ship began to move faster. It's working, Maya shouted. The Vrokath engineers watched in disbelief as their ship accelerated away from the nebula trap. One young engineer approached Maya, skin glowing with curiosity. Could we try this with other systems too? Maya smiled. Now you're thinking like a human. On the command deck, Selmarin watched the enemy ships falling behind. Perhaps, the diplomat said quietly, there is something valuable in your human chaos after all. Maya stood on the command deck watching the view screens. The good news, they had escaped the nebula trap. The bad news, sensors showed Concord warships approaching from ahead, while the Krazer still followed from behind. We're caught in the middle, she said. Selmarin's skin pulsed with worry. The Concord ships should help us. We sent distress signals. Maya checked the communication logs. Those signals never reached them. Someone blocked them and sent false information instead. She pointed to the data. Look, the Concord ships are approaching with weapons ready. They think you're hostile. This cannot be. Selmarin's tentacles twisted in distress. The Concord has protected the Vrokath for centuries. Someone inside the Concord has betrayed you, Maya said. We can't fight both the Krazer and the Concord ships. The command deck fell silent. The situation seemed hopeless. Then Maya had an idea. What if we hide? Hide? A ship this large? Zalan seemed confused. We shut down everything. Engines, lights, weapons, everything except basic life support, Maya explained. We drift like a dead ship. The nebula's radiation will mask our power signature. The Vrokath officers stared at her in horror. Surrender all control. The lead pilot's skin flashed with fear patterns. Become completely vulnerable. That is against all Vrokath instinct and training. Sometimes the best defense is to look like you have no defense, Maya argued. Trust me on this. Selmarin studied Maya's face for a long moment. Why do you help us, human? Our people have never trusted yours. Because it's the right thing to do. Maya answered simply. After intense debate, the Vrokath agreed to Maya's plan. Zalan supervised the shutdown of all major systems. The ship grew dark. Only emergency lights glowed dimly in the water-filled corridors. Now we wait, Maya said, and stay absolutely quiet. Hours passed as the Vrokath ship drifted silently. The Concord warships approached, scanning for signs of life. Everyone held their breath. In the darkness, Selmarin floated near Maya. Our last encounter with humans ended badly, the diplomat said quietly. A human exploration ship discovered one of our sacred temple worlds. They removed artifacts for study without understanding their importance. I'm sorry that happened, Maya replied. Humans are curious by nature. Sometimes we don't understand the damage our curiosity can cause. Your species is young, Selmarin said. The Vrokath have existed for millions of years. We value stability above all. Change is frightening to us. Suddenly, alarms blared through the ship. Maya rushed to check the systems. Oxygen levels are dropping in the nursery chambers, Zalan reported. The emergency systems are failing. The children will suffocate if we don't restore power, Selmarin said. But if we power up, the Concord ships will detect us. Maya studied the ship's layout. There's another way. I can manually vent the toxic air from the nursery section and redirect oxygen from other areas. But someone needs to go into the damaged section. That area is flooded with radiation. Zelon warned. A Vrokath would die within minutes. What about a human? Maya asked. You would risk your life for our children. Selmarin seemed shocked. Maya was already putting on a protective suit. Like I said, it's the right thing to do. As Maya entered the damaged section, Selmarin watched the screens anxiously. The Concord warships were passing directly overhead. Your human is either very brave or very foolish, the lead pilot said. Perhaps, Selmarin replied. Those qualities are two sides of the same coin. Maya moved carefully through the damaged section of the ship. Her protective suit beeped warnings about radiation levels. She didn't have much time. She reached the nursery chamber's air control system. The machinery was massive, designed for Vrokath tentacles, not human hands. Maya struggled with the heavy valves. Zelon, I need instructions, she called through her communicator. These controls are different from the ones I've seen. Zelon guided her through the process. Maya's hands worked quickly despite the growing heat in her suit. The radiation was affecting her equipment. Almost there, she gasped. Her vision was starting to blur. With one final effort, Maya redirected the airflow. Fresh oxygen began flowing into the nursery chambers. The toxic gas vented into space. It's done, she said weakly. The children should be safe now. Maya turned to leave, but her legs gave out. She collapsed against the wall. Maya. Selmarin's voice came through the communicator. Your life signs are failing. You must return immediately. With enormous effort, Maya dragged herself toward the exit. Each breath became more difficult. The radiation was overwhelming her suit's protection. Just before she reached the sealed door, Maya felt strong tentacles wrap around her. A young Vrokath engineer had come to rescue her. Despite the danger, he pulled her through the doorway to safety. Back in the medical chamber, Maya slowly regained consciousness. The Vrokath had removed her contaminated suit and placed her in a special healing tank filled with their medicine. You saved our children, Selmarin said. The Vrokath will not forget this. Maya tried to smile. Did the Concord ships see us? No. They passed by without detecting us. Your plan worked. But their victory was short-lived. As soon as they restored power to the ship's systems, sensors detected the Kreiser ships closing in. They didn't leave, Maya said grimly. They waited for us. The lead pilot entered the medical chamber. They have surrounded us completely. We cannot escape. Maya thought for a moment. Then we fight. But in a way they won't expect. She turned to Selmarin. Your diplomatic ship has ceremonial water chambers, right? For receiving important guests. Yes, the grand reception pool. It holds millions of gallons of our purest water, Selmarin replied. But what does that have to do with fighting? Everything, Maya said. We're going to turn that water into a weapon. The Vrokath were shocked. Using their sacred ceremonial space as a weapon seemed wrong to them. It's either that or lose everything, Maya said, including all your history and genetic records. After intense discussion, the Vrokath reluctantly agreed. Maya worked with the engineers to rig the massive water chambers to explosively release toward the enemy ships. While they worked, sensors detected Kreiser boarding teams cutting through the ship's outer hull. They're coming aboard, Zelon warned. We need to defend the ship from inside too, Maya said. She gathered a group of Vrokath who weren't warriors but were willing to fight. The water in your corridors is your advantage, she explained. The Kreiser can't move through it as easily as you can. Use that. The young engineer who had saved Maya suggested. We could change the water pressure suddenly in specific sections. Exactly. Maya smiled. Think like humans. Use your environment in unexpected ways. As the first Kreiser boarding teams breached the hull, the Vrokath defenders waited. When the invaders entered a main corridor, the Vrokath suddenly increased water pressure, throwing the enemies against walls with crushing force. On the command deck, Maya finished preparing their main weapon. Water weapon ready, she reported. On my signal. Now. The ship shuddered as millions of gallons of water blasted into space directly toward the main cruiser vessel. The powerful jet hit with incredible force, sending the enemy ship spinning out of control. For the first time, Maya heard Vrokath sounds that might have been cheers. Maya watched as the main cruiser ship spun away, damaged by their water weapon. The other enemy ships pulled back in confusion. "It worked," she exclaimed, but her victory was cut short. Pain shot through her body, and she collapsed to the deck. "The human is injured," Zalon called out. Several Vrokath rushed to Maya's side. The radiation exposure was too severe. They carried Maya to the medical chamber. The Vrokath doctors studied her with concern, their skin flashing with worry patterns. "We must help her," Selmarin said. "But our medicine is made for Vrokath biology, not human." The lead doctor's tentacles moved uncertainly. "We know little about human physiology. Our treatments could harm her further." "Then we must learn," Zalon said firmly. "The human fought like us to save us. Now we must think like humans to save her." The Vrokath medical team worked quickly. They scanned Maya's body and studied the results. Using information from her fighter's medical database, they began to create treatments compatible with human biology. While unconscious, Maya experienced something strange. The Vrokath scientists had connected with her mind using their special mental abilities. It was how they monitored her condition, but it created an unexpected connection. Through this link, the Vrokath felt human emotions directly for the first time. They experienced Maya's determination, her courage, and her compassion. Most surprising to them was her hope, her belief that things could always get better, even in the darkest moments. One young doctor reported to Selmarin with awe in his voice. "Her mind is like a storm, chaotic but powerful. She feels everything so strongly. It's beautiful and frightening at once." Meanwhile, the ship had established contact with friendly Concord authorities. When told about the betrayal from within the Concord, the officials were shocked. "We must be careful who we trust," Selmarin told the Concord commander. "Someone high in your ranks wants our genetic archives destroyed." As they approached the safety of a major Concord station, Maya began to regain consciousness. Her vision was blurry, but she could see Vrokath children gathered around her bed, their skin glowing with curious patterns. "The children wanted to see you," Zalon explained. "They've been learning from you. Look." The Vrokath children demonstrated what they had created, a new system to help repair the ship. They had connected different machines in ways no Vrokath would normally consider. "They're thinking outside the pattern," Zalon said proudly. "They call themselves Maya's students in our language." Maya tried to smile, but another wave of pain hit her. The doctors moved quickly to help. "We're almost to safety," Selmarin assured her. "Just hold on a little longer." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. On the view screens, they saw the damaged main cruiser vessel on a collision course with them. "They're making a suicide run," Zalon shouted. The Vrokath ship couldn't move fast enough to escape. Their weapons were depleted, and their engines were still damaged. "We can't fight, and we can't run," the lead pilot said hopelessly. Maya forced herself to sit up despite the pain. "There's always another way," she said weakly. "Help me to the command deck." The Vrokath carried Maya to the command center. Though barely able to stand, her mind was clear. "I have one last idea," she told them. "But it will require perfect Vrokath calculations combined with human chaos." Maya stood shakily on the command deck. Her body was weak, but her mind worked clearly. Everyone looked at her with hope. "The cruiser ship is on a suicide run," she said. "We can't outrun it, but we can trick it." She pointed to the Concord station ahead. "Those stations have automatic defense systems. If we can get the cruiser ship to fire weapons near the station, the defenses will target them instead of us," Zalon finished, understanding her plan. "Exactly. But we need to move at just the right moment." Maya turned to the Vrokath pilots. "I need your perfect calculations for this to work." The lead pilot's skin glowed with determination. "Tell us what to do." Maya explained her plan. The Vrokath would calculate the exact position needed, while Maya would decide the unpredictable timing that would confuse the Krazer. As the enemy ship closed in, the Vrokath ship drifted seemingly helpless. The Krazer fired warning shots, trying to force them to surrender. "Not yet," Maya whispered, watching the distance markers. "Not yet." The Krazer ship came closer, their weapons locked on the Vrokath vessel. "Now," Maya shouted. The Vrokath ship suddenly fired its remaining engines and dropped downward. The Krazer, surprised by the move, fired their weapons, but the shots passed over the Vrokath ship and hit near the Concorde station's perimeter. Instantly, the station's automatic defenses activated. Powerful weapons locked onto the Krazer ship and fired. The enemy vessel exploded in a bright flash. Cheers erupted across the command deck. The Vrokath's skin patterns glowed with joy and relief. The effort was too much for Maya. She collapsed again, her breathing shallow. "Get her to medical now," Sel Marin ordered. 3 months later, Maya woke up in a special medical facility on the Concorde Central Station. A familiar face greeted her, Sel Marin, whose tentacles moved with happiness. "You have been asleep for a long time, human friend," the diplomat said. "Your actions have changed many things." Maya learned that her rescue of the Vrokath ship had caused a diplomatic sensation throughout the galaxy. The Vrokath, normally very private and cautious, had requested permanent human advisors for their fleet. The conspiracy within the Concorde had been partially exposed. Evidence showed that corrupt officials wanted the Vrokath genetic material to create weapons against other species. "There is a ceremony today," Sel Marin told Maya. "You are the guest of honor." Though still weak, Maya attended the ceremony in a special chair. The Concorde Grand Hall was filled with representatives from many alien species, including a large group of Vrokath. The Vrokath High Elder approached Maya. "Captain Rodriguez, you saved not just our ship, but the future of our species. Today, we do something unprecedented." The Elder presented Maya with a small glowing container. "These are copies of some of our historical and genetic records, the first ever shared with another species. This knowledge is our most precious possession." Maya was speechless. She knew how important this gesture was. "We have also begun incorporating human tactical thinking into our methods," the Elder continued. "The combination of Vrokath precision with human adaptability is proving remarkably effective." After the ceremony, Sel Marin approached Maya privately. "We have a request. Would you consider becoming an advisor on a Vrokath exploration vessel?" Maya smiled. "I'd be honored." When she first saw the Vrokath ship that would be her new home, Maya noticed something different. Parts of the ship had been redesigned with human needs in mind: areas without water, human-sized controls, and Earth-like gardens. Most touching of all was a group of young Vrokath who greeted her wearing special insignia. They called themselves "those who think beyond the pattern" in the Vrokath language. "They are your legacy," Sel Marin explained. "The first generation of Vrokath who see value in both our ways." As the ship prepared for departure, Maya stood at a viewport watching the stars. Sel Marin joined her. "Perhaps," the diplomat said, "our species were always meant to learn from each other. Different paths to the same stars." Maya nodded. "Different strengths, one future."